Has everybody heard of the Joel Embiid of corporate affairs? No. I'm really, really excited to welcome Sabastian Niles, who's a friend and an incredibly accomplished executive. He's the president of Salesforce, oversees large swaths of Salesforce global public affairs, responsible AI portfolio, and so on. As we said hello a second ago, I turned to him and I said, you know, how are you doing? He said, great. I said, are you having fun? He goes, yeah. And he said, I said, you know, the other day someone asked me, are you feeling healthy? And so I asked him that, and we thought, well, you know, we should introduce questions like that into sort of executives getting together once in a while. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Really delighted to be here with all of you. And again, just really thank you for you choosing, right, to spend your time and spend so much of your day, you know, with us for this discussion. But just on this topic, which is again not part of the planned topic, is look, one thing that we were just discussing is that we must embrace that sustainable high performance is deeply linked, right, to purpose, to well-being, you know, to wellness. And now we can go to the planned discussions, but it's a very important
exactly.
area.
All the corp comms people are going, what are you doing? Get off track, off track. So listen, Sabastian, we're here to talk about the, obviously the global digital divide. I don't know if you can close the doors back there, that would be helpful, thank you. And you know, this whole platform that we're building at Semafor is called the Next 3 Billion, and thank you for Salesforce partnership on it. Tell us, your company and you individually do so much thinking about this digital divide. Why are connectivity and digital infrastructure sort of the backbone or the central parts of the solution to this?
No, thank you. Look, I think a couple thoughts. First, connecting the unconnected, absolutely fundamental, right? We must prioritize it. And yet, it may be a little controversial, but connecting the unconnected is an incomplete solution in our view, right? Which is, okay, once you connect the unconnected, then what, right? Do you ensure, you know, this incredible idea, the next 3 billion? All right, connecting folks who have not had access to the technologies, not had access to the opportunities, well, then we have to focus on, right, how are we empowering, right, all of these people, the communities, the opportunities? How are we bringing their ideas, their innovation, their entrepreneurship, right, into technology development, right? How are we also ensuring, and by the way, this also applies to many of those that fall into the connected bucket already, but how are we ensuring that people are, when I talk about it being empowered, are engaged, are, whether it's, you know, AI literate, right, AI upskilled, right, reskilled, and we think that's sort of a key element, which is, yes, we connect the unconnected, but then we have to figure out how do we train, develop, engage, and unlock, right, the potential in this sort of next 3 billion.
And so do you have an answer to your own question?
Look, we think we need, he's tough, right? No, look, there's a number of pieces to it. We think certainly we need some strong and sometimes refreshed private sector, public sector, civil society, community partnerships, you know, and frameworks. Look, we certainly, you know, just last week, you know, we announced a whole sort of another set of grants to, you know, global educational, you know, focus sort of nonprofit organizations, to school districts, you know, and the like, so that we can really uplift, educate, and empower, right, the next generation. But again, when it comes to fundamental elements about digital transformation, right, and using technology, you know, and the like, we do think that, particularly when it comes to artificial intelligence and, you know, what we're thinking of agentic AI, right, it's sort of, you know, humans and agents, you know, working together to drive success for all stakeholders. These are just areas where we're going to need resourcing, we're going to have funding. We're also going to need to ensure, again, that we have lots of diverse communities, part of both creating the solutions, but deploying the solutions, and also providing feedback, right, on the solutions.
So a huge theme here has been obviously the, you know, closing the digital gap, the AI gap that exists, and will, you know, make it bigger before it gets smaller. There's few people in the world better positioned to answer the question about what it will truly take to democratize AI, access to AI, and other digital tools. How do you think about that at Salesforce?
Sure. First, that this concept of democratizing access to technologies is fundamental to unlocking both the potential of the technology and unlocking all of the human potential, which means you make it easy, you make it empowering, you make it accessible, you give people confidence that whether it's artificial intelligence, agentic AI, or all the other areas, that that's something that they themselves, that we can do together, right? So, how do you, go about doing it? Look, there are a couple priorities. We also do believe with great opportunity always comes, right, risks. And so we need to be thinking about, how do you think about responsible adoption of technology? How do we think about responsible, AI? One of the offices that we have created is our Office of Ethical Humane Use, right, of technology, and working on responsible and trustworthy AI in ways that, again, where trust is not an afterthought, but we really build in, early on, and then as part of the overall ecosystem, yes, how are we grappling with the different disparities? How are we thinking about, right, bias, right, and toxicity? And then ultimately bring all that into a framework where we believe in order to drive forward the opportunity, you need to be smart around the right governance. You need to be smart around the right guardrails. You need to be smart around the right guidance that enables people to just really be engaged with it. I think the other thing I would flag, so just last week, we had tens of thousands of people in San Francisco for our largest AI conference. We call it Dreamforce. And what we also announced was a concept called Agent Force, which was these agentic AI systems where you could use technology to take action on behalf of people and organizations. And what we said is for these tens of thousands of people, we said, let's not just operate up here of, oh, here's this great technology company creating those. We said, each of you, nonprofits, we had heads of states, heads of companies, just people though, sit with us, let's build your first agent. And I mean, literally, then you got a little button, right? I built my first agent. But I flag it more because it's the idea of getting people hands in the soil, right? And person after person came away from that experience and was like, wait, this is something I can do too, right? And then we were even learning the ideas that they were having, and how are they going to bring that back, right, to their companies, to their governments, to their communities. And so it's these types of, I think, steady types of approaches that are going to be just really, fundamental to driving the impact, right, at scale that we need, and that has long been, delayed.
So just a kind of an optimistic question. So let's assume many of the things that need to happen to close this digital divide happen, that the efforts to expand connectivity with the help of organizations like your own succeed. Can you paint a picture of what life and business and societies will look like across the emerging world?
Wow. Big question. I'm sure actually many of you would have strong visions here around it. Look, what I would offer up, many of you have heard of, for example, the Edison Alliance, right, which is all part of how do you bring further connectivity. But the optimistic vision, which is achievable if we focus on the items that we're talking about today, I think probably has a couple of components, right, sort of, or phases to it. One is that the way in which we might be able to accelerate growth for developing economies, perhaps in exponential ways that we don't understand, is real. Number two, and we're particularly thinking of this in terms of Agent Force and agentic AI and autonomous flows. How can we use autonomous AI to address where we have labor shortfalls? So, for example, the World Health Organization has said in certain areas we have there's 10 million healthcare workers needed to drive certain areas. I suspect the answer is sort of much higher. But in these areas where you have shortfalls, how can we use technology to grapple with the disparities, to improve, right, the sort of different sets of outcomes, to deal with these sort of different sets of issues? One of the things we were sort of working with small businesses and medium-sized businesses last week is in this kind of low-code, no-code way, you build your agent, but here's what it can let you do. A small business, a medium-sized business, right, started by a family, started by a community, what have you, what if they can scale their operations? Right? What if they can achieve the efficiencies? I think you've seen the stats, and this is maybe not an optimistic point, but it's sort of the stats as they were. Most small businesses fail. Okay, well, what if we can use artificial intelligence, agentic AI, technology, new kinds of partnerships to have that not be the case anymore, right? And I just think when you think about all these different sets of issues, and you think about it, look, globally, you think about it regionally, you think it nationally, you think about it locally, the opportunity and I think the excitement when you think about sort of the next 3 billion, look, yes, we bring the connection, but these are 3 billion people, users of sort of this technology. What are the ideas and the innovation and the impacts, right, that all of this, untapped, right, sort of potential, will have? And again, although I think stepping back, it will also come down to values. You and I were talking about this earlier. When we think of how AI and technology and the like can flourish positively rather than negatively, we believe at Salesforce you need an ecosystem approach, right? How are we building an ecosystem of trust, an ecosystem, right, of stakeholder and customer success, an ecosystem of equality, an ecosystem of sustainability, so that you have an ecosystem of innovation that benefits many, benefits all, benefits those regardless of kind of resources or background, or location. And that's when we really are going to, I think, have an incredibly exciting, prosperous and joyful and helpful future where we're really helping each other succeed.
Great. Well, thank you. On that I hear some claps. On that encouraging note, thank you, Sebastian, for your collaboration on this next 3 billion. Thank you for caring about these subjects. Thank you to Salesforce. And thank you for your inspiring and intelligent words.
Thank you.
Thank you.